All right, ladies and gentlemen. Holy smokes, it's been too long since I did a video. Anyway, um, 2020, wasn't that a trip, huh? Crazy. I'm a little bit late here now, but it took me a couple weeks to kind of like put together all the stats for 2021. And so today I'm going to do a little recap, looking specifically at the numbers and then kind of giving you guys my thoughts on what kind of went on last year in our market. Today I'm going to focus, throw out some numbers for Mount Pearl Paradise, St. John's, and CBS. I'm not going to go into all the numbers, but I am going to throw out average sale prices, number of sales, and talk a little bit about average list sale durations in these different markets. So you guys can get a sense for what has actually changed. Generally speaking, in the market, there was a lot of talk about how, things were more robust, the market was strong. This will give you a bit more context on exactly how strong it was. And what I've also done is I've pulled up and done some sort of recaps. I'm also going to compare 2020 to 2015, which is sort of just beyond the peak of our market. 2013, 2014 was too. But 5 years is kind of a nice round number to kind of look back at, to go where we come from. So let's take St. John's. That's our primary market, of course. Average sale price. Average sale price, and this is all for single family homes, okay? So, and once I kind of throw the numbers out there, I'll derive something from it. So, $294,000 the average sale price of a single family home for last year in St. John's. 294,000, that's 2020. In 2019, the average sale price of a home was 281,000. That is an increase of 4.5%, okay? So, definitely showing the strength of that market. But where does that strength really come from? We have a slight upward increase in prices. The number of sales last year, just over 1,100. Number of sales for 2019, 963. So that's an increase of 15%. When you look at listings, the number of listings was down by almost 15% last year in St. John's. So I think that kind of helped to give that upward pressure. Average list sale duration, so the time it actually took for those homes to sell, was around 71 days, which is down from 82 in 2019. Now, what's really important for me is to create context, because just raw numbers is like, okay, so average sale prices are up, number of listings are down, but then how does that compare to our market historically? So when you look at 2020 versus 2015, we're looking at an average sale price of 294,000 last year versus 307,000, or a decline of just over 4% from 2015. So we've kind of like almost come full circle to have a 5-year period and be off by 4%. It's pretty marginal. Number of sales last year, again, just over 1,100. Number of sales for 2015, just under 1,100, so almost no change there. And average list sale durations were basically the same. So it's funny because of 2011, 12, 13, 14, 2015, I remember people going, oh, it's kind of slow. It's just kind of funny how things go around. And 2020, we kind of experienced as a hotter market locally, but yet it's a little bit behind what happened in 2015. Anyway, let's look at some of the other areas, create additional context here. So it's interesting. Let's look at Mount Pearl. I just want to show you how small the Mount Pearl market, or talk to you about how small the Mount Pearl market is. Last year, 225 single-family homes sold. Average sale price, 255,000. Number of homes that sold in 2019, 193, so a difference of 16%, but we're talking about 200 and change sales here, so a very small market. Average sale price is totally unchanged from 2020 and 2019. Average list sale durations didn't change, so very, very consistent, not much adjustment in Mount Pearl whatsoever. When we look back at 2015, this is where it kind of gets interesting. Average sale price in 2015 in Mount Pearl was 294,000. So now, last year was 255,000, a reduction of 13%. So what I would surmise specifically for that particular point is I think there was a bunch of new home construction. Once again, this is a small market, it's 200 sales. So you have a dozen or so sales that are new construction in the 350s, and it's going to throw all these numbers off. Another interesting data point from Mount Pearl is Average days from list to sale in Mount Pearl 2015 was 62, and last year it was 89. So as much as it kind of felt energized last year, we're still in Mount Pearl specifically quite a ways off 13% on prices and off nearly 30 days on the list of sale durations. The number of sales last year, again, 225 versus 212 for 2015. And there was way fewer listings. There was only 1,169 listings in Mount Pearl for 2015 versus 1,600 last year, but that's down from 1,900 in 2019. So we're kind of going back around from that respect. Paradise, really, really interesting. Average sale price up nearly 10%, 335,000 versus 306,000. Number of sales 274 versus 236, again comparing 2020 with 2019. Average days on market down to 70 from 80. So basically a fantastic market for Paradise for last year. Prices are almost up 10%. Number of sales almost up 16%. Number of listings down 11%. And really, to me, the big number is the average days on market. Pulling it closer to 60 days, I think would be great for the majority of home sellers. Versus 2015, though, average sale price in Paradise, again, single-family homes, 2015, 355,000 versus 335,000 for last year, down 5%. So even though we've had a 10% increase last year over 2019, we're still down a little bit from 2015. Average days on market was 82 in 2015, 70 last year. So, and the other numbers are well, number of sales is basically unchanged, 274 versus 283. But again, it's so fascinating to me, like the number of listings was down fairly dramatically last year, down over 11%. But then when you look at 2015, there was only 1,922 listings in Paradise, again, single family homes, versus 2,568 listings. So that's a 33% difference. So we still got a lot more inventory in some of these markets than what historically we would typically have. And then Conception Bay South. So average sale price 290,000 versus 270, an increase of 7.5% 2020 versus 2019. Number of sales 329 sales versus 280, an increase of 17.5%. Again, 300 sales though, like, you know, it's a fairly small market. If you looked at any GTA outside of Newfoundland, like more like Ontario, Montreal, BC, you'd see thousands and thousands. So taking consideration that small changes can make big differences to these numbers. Number of listings down 18% in CBS last year, from almost 3,500 in 2019 to just under 2,850 last year. List of sale duration unchanged. Average sale price, when we look at 2020 versus 2015, down 3.8%. So 290 last year, 302 in 2015. So we still, like, we see a 7.5% increase. We're still down almost 4% from 2015. Sales up 12% when we look at 2015, but the number of listings still up 11% over the number of listings that were in CBS at the time, and average sale durations to total, like, relatively unchanged. So the takeaway from all those numbers is average sale prices are up, generally speaking, in the St. John's surrounding. Number of listings is down. Average list sale duration is generally down marginally, but when we compare it to more of a seasonal scenario or a historical component, and we go back to say 2015, which again was not quite close, like still 2 years away from our peak, listings are still very high relative to that historic component, and average sale prices are still down. I think the reasoning for this, COVID naturally created the scenario where there was a lot of people that didn't want people in their homes. So that had downward pressure on the number of listings. The second piece is interest rates. Interest rates being so low created an environment where buying was cheaper than it had been, even though interest rates have been very, very low for a long time. They're continuing that trend. And this super low inventory, super low interest rate, computer turns off. super low interest rate, what this does is that, remember, it's a lagging indicator, so it's not like prices are going to increase because of the low interest rates automatically, but it has a much faster reaction on people's sort of buying habits. So low inventory, low interest rates. But another piece that's more specific to our market is, for the first time in a long time, and I think it's because of this 5-year trend, is we've seen seller expectations sort of soften while buyer expectations have kind of risen a little bit. And so what we kind of have is people are meeting in the middle, so more and more deals are being put together. When you look back at, say, 2013, 2014, purchaser expectations adapt very, very quickly to the changes in the market. So the market becomes a little bit more challenging. Buyers are there. They want the deal. Sellers take a few years to kind of come around. And part of this is psychological, and part of this is because a lot of them had a certain amount of or lack of equity in their homes. So now that these three things have kind of come together, it's kind of created a perfect storm, which has lifted our market up slightly. When you look at like Toronto, for example, there's some places there where single-family detached homes have seen 15-20% increases. So we're certainly not in that boat. I think the general takeaway for this year is that we're going to see more of this. COVID persists. We're going to have continued low inventory. Interest rates are not going anywhere for the time being, this particular year. I don't really see any massive changes outside of that. And I think, again, as long as seller and buyer expectations stay kind of close to each other, we're probably going to have, it's going to be really interesting to see if there's a mirror of this year. And part of that is like we had this decline, and so this little buoy that's going on where things are flattening off. But yeah, so little takeaway, I'm actually going to do a screenshot of the stats I talked about here today and post it on the Facebook page. And yeah, so thanks for sticking through all that drivel, and let me know if you got any questions. Cheers.